Welcome to One Brooklyn, presented by Brooklyn Borough President Eric L. Adams. On this edition of One Brooklyn, Brooklyn Borough President Adams unveils a report on the New York City's fast-growing craft beverage industry. The report included recommendations to expand the economic potential of breweries, distilleries, and wineries around the city. Currently, these types of businesses are often bogged down with red tape or difficult regulations, so Borough President Adams and his report looks to address some of these issues so this industry can continue to thrive and coexist in a borough with a great brewing history.
It's of tremendous value and importance to us because, one, it gives us confidence that we're in the right place and that we've got support of the people who are running the city and running the agencies that oversee what we do, that are, one, supporting what we're doing, two, and perhaps most important, they're curious about what it takes to launch this type of business and to sustain this type of business over time, and that they're willing to learn and grow with us as we try to grow our own businesses.
Why is it important for Brooklyn to have breweries?
Well, one, because there's a great tradition of brewing and distilling, specifically in our case, in the borough of Brooklyn. And we love celebrating that tradition is part of our heritage. We love celebrating that we're part of a collection of people that are reviving that tradition here in Brooklyn and helping to export that not only through the city but the country, and to export it to other parts of the world as well.
Currently, there are over 60 of these type of manufacturing operations in the 5 boroughs, with additional venues looking to launch soon. Borough President Adams visited the New York Distilling Company to release his report and hold a press conference. He also took the opportunity to learn more about the distilling company.
Been in business 6 years now, and we make gin and rye whiskey here.
Okay. So these barrels, what is in here?
So this is primarily aging rye whiskey. We focus on rye whiskey. That's our specialty. And we age our sipping rye whiskey for 3 years. So once we ferment, mash, go through the distill, we put them in the barrels, and we wait. So from our point of view, it's not exactly a get-rich-quick scheme. It's
Right.
hopefully break even in 3 years.
And this is your product?
Yeah, these are our products. Gin has a little bit of color because we age it in barrels, which is pretty unusual to age a gin. Usually it's not an aged spirit.
Okay.
This is an 1809 recipe that a cocktail historian found for us. So it's a recreation of gins that were made in Brooklyn back more than 200 years ago. This is aged for 3 years, and this is going to be our flagship. This is the one that we're going to be most proud of. This is a high-end sipping rye whiskey. And then this is a fun product. It's called Rock and Rye. It's an old-fashioned kind of whiskey that was sweetened with rock candy sugar and then flavored with other ingredients.
Interesting.
In our case, cherry, cinnamon, and a little bit of orange peel. So it's delicious. It's like an old-fashioned whiskey liqueur.
Okay, is it thick like a liqueur?
It's a little bit sweet. It has so it's about 2% sugar by weight. So yeah, it's not like syrupy.
Right.
But it's a little bit more viscous.
130 proof.
That's smooth though.
It is smooth, and that's the idea. So this is the finishing run. It's been distilled once already in what's called a stripping run, to strip the alcohol out of fermented grain. And this finishing run is what will
Real smooth.
we'll proof it a little bit and put it in barrels.
Let it cool down. Then we add yeast, and that starts the fermentation process, which converts the sugars in that sweet.
We are really excited about just a great group of people who are part of the distilling industry in Brooklyn and New York City, and therefore in New York State. We come in contact with so many different industries, and these ladies and gentlemen are really pioneers. And when people say that there's something special about what's happening in Brooklyn, this is what they're talking about. Oftentimes, people can't put their finger on it. They just know that there's something brewing. Well, what's brewing is the great beer, gin, whiskey, and the entire industry has continued to brew in Brooklyn. And what they have proven is that you can take an industry that traditionally is not known to be in a small neighborhood and do it without impacting the quality of life of their neighbors. In fact, it becomes a popular watering hole for those who are part of the community. This is a great idea, a great concept, and a great group of people, and we want to really thank them for helping us move this important industry forward. And it's just some of the folks we want to thank is New York City Brewers Guild, New York State Distillers Guild, Arcane Distillery, Astoria Distilling Company, Artsbeat Vermouth, Braven Beer Company, Brooklyn Brewery, my good friend Steve Hindy and his crew, Brooklyn Winery, Chelsea Craft Brewing Company, Fort Haves Spirit, Goblet Wine, Interborough Spirit and Ales, Kings County Brewers Collective, Kings County Distillery, Port Morris Distillery, Threes Brewing Company, and Standard Spirit Distillery. And so just all of them for coming together. This is the byproduct of a round table, got wine on my mind, of a round table where we wanted to hear directly from those who are impacted by the industry. We did not want to dictate to the industry. We wanted to find out, what do we do that government is not in your way of continue to build the empires in the Empire State? And how do we duplicate best practices? How do we see what people are doing across the country, across the state, and find ways to do it right here in the borough of Brooklyn? This industry is growing rapidly, leaps and bounds, and we don't want to miss out. It's a multi-million-dollar growth opportunity for our city, and in particular for the borough. In 2015 alone, the U.S. produced 24.5 million barrels by more than 4,200 breweries, with small and independent brewers accounting for 99% of brewers in operation. New York City is home to over 11 wineries, 19 craft distilleries, and 27 breweries, with new businesses open every day. Last January, when my team sat down, I want to thank Josh, who really led this initiative. We coordinated this roundtable to find out, how do we continue to expand and grow. The Empire State is catching up to this opportunity. In 2016, New York State enacted major changes to the alcohol laws, allowing for sales of craft beverages by the glass, tax reform, and Sunday Blue Law reform. What we want to show is all of that is fine, but we want to go further. There's more we can do. There are more things that we can do, and that is where we receive the ideas from the men and women who are joining us today. The state has distinct licenses with limits on production. Other states do not. We want to remain competitive to make sure that we can compete with the other states. Things are just done better in New York State, but we must allow the businesses to do it better by getting out of their way. I'm calling on New York City Economic Development Corporation to create a craft beverage point person. We have this on the state level, where many of the industry leaders upstate are dealing with those impediments, and they're being removed. Hooray to the governor's office for doing that. Now we need to duplicate that on the city level. There are unique complications for businesses to navigate in New York City, and the confusing alphabet soup of agencies and rules and regulations is just getting in the way of moving forward. One case in point, after the fire code was revised in 2014, FDNY waited 2 years before making surprise visits to distilleries and begin handing out violation. No coordination between the Department of Buildings and the FDNY, and the name of the game is not to play I gotcha with the business, it's to play I support you with the business, and that's what we're calling on to take place. The recent craft beer challenge that took place in the state, and here's something that's extremely troubling. Not one New York City brewery participated and was one of the finalists. Even our renowned Brooklyn brewery made it to the finals. None of them made it to the finals. During the finals events in Battery Park City, some of the celebrity chefs could not sample New York City brewed beer. The next year's competition should include all breweries, and that's the goal, to be inclusive in what we do. Similar to how the governor has a laser focus upstate, We want to have a laser focus here in the borough of Brooklyn so that people can try some of these great products. And it's a great tourism. When I go out of the country or out of the city and visit wineries and visit other locations, I pinpoint some locations and go there merely because of the wineries, to bring tourists in, allow them to come in, sample the products, buy from some of the bars that are located or where the products are being sold, and it encourages them when they go back home to ask their local watering holes to also carry these great Brooklyn products. That is our goal. Also want to reaffirm the opportunity for us to expand our complementary urban agriculture industry, which can provide a direct connection to ingredients for breweries and distilleries, as well as some of the other opportunities that are available. I have committed a starting investment of $1 million to EDC to create an urban ag incubator in Brooklyn. And so we're looking just to move forward and do some great things. Where else can you go, get your buzz on and your business on at the same time, with some great beer, some great whiskey, and just some great people to have that combination. So I want to call up some of the great people that have been really part of this initiative and have been extremely helpful to my team, and I cannot thank them enough. So we want to hear from 3 of the business owners. The first is going to be Tom Potter, the co-founder of NYDC. The next would be Brooklyn Winery, Connor McCormick, winemaker, and the third would be Tony Bellis, co-owner of Kings County Brewers Collective. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate you coming. If you had been bringing together all of the assembled beverage alcohol producers in Brooklyn 25 years ago, it would have been a pretty small number. It would have been basically 1. My own experience goes back to the founding of the Brooklyn Brewery about 6 blocks up the street, and at that time it was a very different scene. You can see, based on the collection of talent here, that New York City has really come of age, Brooklyn especially, but all of New York City. We have collectively, I think, created some of the most exciting products, the high quality products, unique products available anywhere in the world. We've made unbelievable progress, and I think it's recognized not just in the state and in the country, but around the world. However, there are a lot of challenges that remain. The Borough President referenced one that scared all of us in the distilling industry when we got the summons from the fire department out of nowhere last August. And I know we were talking to each other by email quickly, like, what is this? Where does it come from? And the point that he makes is really important. There was nobody that we could really talk to. His idea about having a single point of contact that the distillers, in our case, can reach out to and say, hey, we want to be good neighbors, we want to do the right thing, what is that? It's very important. The different issues that were raised are those that all of us face as we try to grow our businesses. We feel like we offer excellent manufacturing jobs, we contribute to the diversity of the city, we want to be good neighbors, we think that we're representing the city well. These are good businesses that represent the borough and the city of New York. But we do sometimes need help. Sometimes it's in the issue of city regulations. It took us 2 years to open up this particular distillery. The layers and levels of licenses and regulations are pretty formidable. If we just had a little bit of coordination and help, that would be a good thing. We've already received our licenses, but there's some new people starting out that could use a little bit of help. And all of us who are already in business continually need help in this highly regulated business. We also are part of an agricultural environment. We use grains from upstate New York. There's no reason why a lot of that grain can't be grown here in New York City. I think the agricultural initiative that you're talking about is very exciting. We would love to source as much as we can locally. In general, I think the future is very bright, but we do need some help. The specific recommendations that you've made in your report, and thank you and your staff for doing all the hard work that goes into that, I think are right on point. I know at New York Distilling Company, we want to support you. We'd like to gather our colleagues and support your efforts, and also reach out to our other elected officials. We'd like them to come together along with you, taking the lead, and see if we can't get some of these points put into action. I know some of them require state cooperation, some of them can be done simply by the city. So anything that we can do to help you, let us know, and we're on board.
Love it, love it.
Thank you very much for being here.
Good. Next is Connor McCormick.
Great. First, thank you so much for getting the ball rolling on this. It's really great to see, and thanks to all my fellow fermenters here. It's great to see so many good faces in the room. I'd like to echo some of Tom's sentiments on especially the licensing stuff. Obviously, that's a huge factor to get past. And when we first started out in 2010, there was a lot of layers of uncertainty that we had to go through because there wasn't a lot of wineries in the city at the time. One of our big things was with the DOB and with the licensing, with the building that we were looking at, it was specifically said that there could be a brewery put in, but it didn't say anything about wineries, so it took us months to actually figure that out and actually have them change the language on that so we were able to kind of open up our space. For us, waste management's a big thing. We every harvest we go through about 130 tons worth of grapes. Once those are finished, we press that off, and then we have grape skins and seeds and stems that I have to figure out what to do. So we pay to compost it, because we believe that's the right thing to do. Currently, we have one solution in New York City for us to work with. It's one provider. So we'd love to see something local where we could actually turn that into reusable energy here in the city, which would be absolutely amazing, and we'd love to somehow support that as well. I just want to thank you again for talking about getting that one point person on board, because for us, working at the state level has been really great, working with the ESD and also the New York Wine and Grape Foundation, who worked really great together on a state level. If we could have that on a city level, it's even only going to promote more businesses coming up and help us that are already here and thriving and growing. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I look forward to the future.
Thank you. And Tony. Tony got a cool beard.
Thanks. Thanks for having us today. We're really proud of making 100% of our beer that we sell to people right here in Brooklyn. And I think, for us, it's really important to have those resources, and support available. And we appreciate, Borough President's office, working to put this together to, develop resources for us. Kind of chiming in on what, some other people said, sustainable spent grain removal is a big thing for us here, both as, brewers, winemakers, and distillers. A lot of other areas in the country, spent grain and from brewing and distilling gets used by farmers because it's great animal feed. Farmers will even pay you for it. And then, a city like New York City and in Brooklyn, it's a high cost to us. So I think, exploring sustainable, composting solutions and, hopefully things that, we can turn some of that great, spent product into either energy or feed is fantastic. I think also just, we appreciate the support with, creating a 1 point, system where we have one person we can go and talk to about all of our startup challenges and operational challenges. We're one of the newer breweries here in Brooklyn, opening last summer, and it's a challenge to dig through both state, federal, and Brooklyn regulations, and I think having a single point of contact is really going to be helpful for any new breweries and distilleries and wineries, and just for us ongoing, as our small businesses grow and we need more support. I think just, we really appreciate the support you're giving our industry. And then on the tourism level as well, I mean, we live in this fantastic borough that people travel from all around the globe to visit. And we're urban producers, we're making amazing products here in this borough and are proud of it, and we want to share that with as many people as possible. So I think, the support of, having a focus, on tourism, to come to our tasting rooms and come and buy products directly from us is going to be fantastic. So we appreciate all the support and look forward to continuing to make more and more beer here in Brooklyn.
Love it. Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank all of you. So we're open to any questions if you have any, to myself or any of the other folks who are part of the industry. Oh, okay. The uniform request that everyone gave is a one-person point of contact in government that can keep them informed, help them navigate as this industry grows, and to coordinate the other city agencies so that no one is caught off guard with any changes in regulation. Surprises hurt the industry. And these industry leaders are great city partners and community partners. We need to cooperate and organize with them and not fight against them. That is the number one message we're sending today. And if we have that, everything else will go down as smooth as a 12-year-old aged scotch.
Rye whiskey. It's at least 3 years old. And as we were discussing, this is all from grain, rye specifically, grown upstate. A little bit unique to have it this old at this point in time, because we're just a 5-year-old company. With rock candy sugar, the sugar coming from
I thought I smelled something.
in the raw, down in the Navy Yard. Pink cherries, orange peel, and a little bit of cinnamon bark. And this is ready to drink on its own, I'd say. A little bit lower proof.
This is